Hi everybody, complete change of gear for me. I'm going to talk about the information system that has been put together to support the modelling and decision support work. But first of all, a little bit about me in the spirit of sharing something. My first encounter with reefs was actually when I was a 10-year-old off the coast of Kenya. And I remember seeing crystal clear water and very colourful reefs, and that was added to, I was very fortunate and grew up, had the chance to spend a lot of time in the Solomon Islands. So from when I was, again, about 10 to 18, I'd go to school in Australia and spend my school holidays in the Solomon Islands. Beautiful water again, amazing reefs, and so I feel, like a lot of you, an affinity with the warm tropics and the colour and the wonderful wildlife of the reef. So a little bit about me. So I'm going to spend, as I said, a little bit of time talking about talking about two pieces of work. The first one is, I guess, in the program's wisdom. It was identified that an information system would be super useful, if not imperative, to supporting the work of the modelling and decision support team in understanding, I guess, the counterfactuals and assessing the options of interventions in a systematic way, moving towards the production of an operational system. So an early piece of work was to really put some thinking into the design of what that information system might look like. And we produced a report called the RRAP Modelling and Decision Support Design Report, which was really a conceptual framing of what we wanted to do with that information system and how those different capabilities could be brought together to support the objective, which was quality decisions, ultimately deciding what some of those intervention options are going to be for the reef. It's worth noting that a very early use case was this one of kind of trust and also justification, where we felt that at some point down the track, the question would be asked, well, how did you make that conclusion? What evidence did you use? And so this idea of provenance and trust weaves through this. The aspiration, of course, was quality decisions, and we didn't know what the endpoint was, and so we went about it by establishing a set of principles, conceptual frameworks, key artefacts, and some suggested processes to support that ongoing need for quality decisions. It's fair to say that designing IT systems is hard at the best of times, but designing IT systems that support transition from research to operational capability is absolutely challenging. We're in a landscape where IT fail is very common, and transitioning, I've been involved in a couple of quite large programs where the objective is transitioning research to operational capability, and that has been a very challenging place to work as well. It's not just us in Australia, it's a global issue. And this model here is, it's actually a little bit old now. It's 20 years old, but this is about transitioning research from NASA, where they developed the remote sensing capability, into NOAA, where the capability was to be operationalised. And there's two key transition barriers that need to be overcome. The first one is getting the research out of the research teams and into the operational providers, and there are challenges associated with that. And then getting the capability from the operational providers to the operational users, so the end stakeholders and two valleys of death. So I think where we are at the moment in that journey is probably we've crossed that first transition to varying degrees, and we're getting the capability in the hand of these operational providers, but there's still a job to do to move that capability into the end users. As I mentioned a little bit earlier, the way we approached this, given that we didn't know what the end target was to put together some conceptual frameworks, some principles, and some process around that. So I'll just briefly tackle a couple of those, one in a little bit more detail. The decision framing, which defines how quality decisions are made, was kind of put together, and this really described the framework theory and how those quality decisions would be made. The knowledge framework identified the types of knowledge that would be captured by the information system, and the technical framework, which I'll go into a little bit more detail, really describes how it was put together. The principles are really associated with agile improvement. So knowing that each time you put something together, it's not going to hit the target, but you work your way through in a prioritised, systematic way to improve the information system. And this idea of continual improvement through maturity assessment, having documents like a technical strategy and active groups that implement that strategy is a key part of producing the system as well. In terms of the, in terms of the conceptual view of the information system, we recognise three main viewpoints. One is what we call the enterprise viewpoint. This captures the business needs, so supporting what decisions are going to be made by who and why. This then leads to two other viewpoints. The next one is the knowledge and information viewpoint, which answers key questions like what models do we need, what data, and what information to support quality decisions. And lastly, the technical viewpoint, which is how, from a technical point of view, is that system going to be put together and overseen by on the right-hand side there, I think, the RRAP Governance Technical Committee. So this is what it looks like. On the right-hand side there, we've really focused on the capability to support the program around registering and delivering, retrieving data sets. And so you can see the data store in the information system, which is called Pravina. And underneath that is the provenance store, which stores information about how those data sets were used, how the modelling results were generated. And this provenance store can be queried so you can understand the lineage of those modelling results to generate trust in the outputs. We're focused on supporting three main groups. The main group that the information system is supported at the moment is the internal team. The modelling and decision support team are the main users of the information system at the moment, but we're imagining as it moves to operational capability, ultimately other researchers and decision makers who are charged with the responsibility of determining what interventions are going to be invested in. So the uptake and use has been pretty significant, and we use this as evidence of kind of the mainstreaming and as I said at the beginning, where we are in that journey of transitioning to an operational capability. There's about 73 data sets registered, 38 model runs registered, 14.3 terabytes of data sitting on the IS, which is huge. Data in is around about 4 terabytes over the last 12 months, and about only half a terabyte has been extracted. So it looks like the pathway into the information system at the moment is much stronger than the information out, but I think that is consistent with where we are in that operational journey. We've got this continual improvement process as part of the original design, using this idea of a maturity model, which is again identifying things like what's best practice, where are we relative to that best practice, and what should we prioritise to improve. We performed the first of these maturity assessments recently. Just quickly on this slide here, on the y-axis is a definition of what operational capability is. On the column headers, they are levels of maturity, with, I've got to get this right, with more mature being on the right-hand side and less mature on the left-hand side. And we note there that any of those operational capabilities that are implemented with the information system, which is on the right-hand side there, automatically have high level of maturity. So what that means is, in terms of having a robust operational capability, if the information system is used by de facto, you move to that higher level of maturity. So, critique and key messages. So, we think that design report and conceptual approach, along with methods, has actually served the program very, very well. We also say that it's driven the maturity improvement, and as teams have increasingly used that, it has improved the maturity of our operational capability. We say that the information system has been critical to developing and transitioning that pathway to operations. And I think the maturity assessment that I showed previously, and there's others behind there, have really validated the approach that we've taken. Transitioning is ongoing, and the call to action is to really encourage the teams in RRAP to continue to use the information system. I think it's a real core asset that we have, and will place us in a very good position as we move to making the broader set of capabilities available to other users. Thank you.
Thanks, Peter. We have 4 minutes for questions. Are there any coming in online in the Slido? No, not at this point. Thank you.
Hey, thanks, Peter. This isn't a canned question, but it is something I've asked you before, asked Jonathan and others that involved in this before. So this is awesome for RRAP. There are other programs on the GBR that would like to start making use of this type of technology, like the CSIP stuff that we're working on. How soon do you think it would be available for other programs to kind of reuse in a format similar to what you've already got running for RRAP?
Yeah, so thanks, Cameron. The answer is I'm not sure, and I guess like a lot of these things, there's a range of different drivers here, but at the technology level, it's been implemented with a technology called infrastructure as code. So the whole system it can be built very, very quickly through this code-based definition. And so if different instances of the information system were required by other teams, then that's quite a feasible proposition. In terms of everybody coming on board with the existing IS, which would be awesome, I guess that's from a program point of view to establish if that's a goal, because at the end of the day, these systems do require funding and maintenance and support. But I do think from a system point of view, there are no barriers to that. It's probably more from a program and political point of view.